Welcome to Dan the Cleaning Man channel, where we help you build and grow a successful commercial cleaning business. Whether you're just starting out or looking to expand, we provide expert tips, step-by-step guides, and proven strategies to help you succeed. Subscribe now and join our community to stay ahead in the commercial cleaning industry.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Dan the Cleaning Man channel. I just wanted to jump on, and I have a very special guest on. His name is Rodolfo Arauco. He's been in the business over a decade, and I want to welcome him to the channel as well. He's got some valuable insights in the janitorial world. So, Rodolfo, thank you for joining us.
Danny, it's my pleasure. I think this is going to be fun discussing janitorial and anything else we want to discuss.
Absolutely. Well, and not a lot of folks out there know it. Me and you have worked together for over 30 years in different aspects of the industries, from retail to loan business, and jumped into janitorial. It's been over, 12 years now. So, but I've had a pleasure to work with Rodolfo, and I have a high respect for the character and integrity that he brings to everything he does. So, Rodolfo, did you want to kind of share a little bit of your past history and experience, and then we'll kind of dive into the janitorial operational world?
Sure. So as Danny mentioned, my name is Rodolfo. I have, I've worked in the restaurant industry for over 27 years. Did retail for almost 10, and janitorial almost 12 years. Three different industries, very important industries, but it's all about the customer service, right? That's the big key in those three different business that I've been fortunate to have been part of.
Awesome. Yeah, and very much so. And I think you look at all the industry, it's, customer service is the tie-in for all of it. So
Sure.
Well, as you spoke, you've been in the janitorial industry for quite some time now. Can you share what you initially drew you to the field, and how your journey led you to becoming an executive within the janitorial company?
So I was working in the retail industry with a couple of my buddies, one being Danny, obviously. He was in the janitorial industry at the time, and they recruited me to come join them. I've been fortunate that I've gotten to work for two different janitorial companies in my 12-year janitorial career. And at first I had some hesitancy, janitorial, because it's an unknown. It's something that you don't think about, right? Because a lot of the work is behind the scenes, literally. But you don't think about how those buildings get cleaned until you're behind the scenes, and then you're going, whoa. Anyway, so when I joined the first company, obviously I knew nothing about the janitorial industry other than empty trash cans, stock toilet paper. I mean, that's just basic. So I learned a lot, in my time, and I was very successful. I started off as an operations manager, which is kind of, I guess you could say, the entry level position, and was very successsul. We got promoted. The first company to 2 or 3 different positions, and again, a lot of it had to do with the success that I had, the success of providing exceptional customer service, leading a team, right? Because in the restaurant industry, as well as the retail, you mainly deal with direct hire, which means you interview all levels, you discipline all levels, you terminate all levels. When you get into the janitorial industry and you're dealing with subcontractors, it's a whole different ballgame. Which I learned it, and I was very, very successful, and that's why I was able to move up to the different levels that I grew in both organizations. Um, the janitorial world is a lot of the work is done behind the scenes. All the sweeping and mopping and dusting and emptying of trash cans, magically happen overnight. That's what a lot of people think. And really there's more to it than that. And but it's a service, especially in commercial buildings, or in any buildings, commercial, whether it's 500 square feet or 1 million square feet. Somebody's got to do the cleaning, and that's usually done after hours. And so yeah, I mean, it's something that you don't think about. Even when I've spoken with my friends that worked in commercial buildings, it's like they never thought about, yeah, buildings are clean somehow. We just never think about it because when they leave for work at 5:30, trash cans are full. The restrooms, look like there's a tornado blew through there. And then when they show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, everything's clean, it smells nice, all the trash cans generally are emptied, the mirrors don't have fingerprints or whatever else people throw or spit on them. So yeah, it's a different industry. It's a obviously a big customer service because you have so many people that work, right? Think about it. Most people work 40 to 50 hours at their job, and they're in a building, right? And so they spend a good portion of their time. That's their second home. And just like your first home, you want it to be clean. You don't want to keep walking into your second home and go, oh my God, my trash can hasn't been emptied, or the restroom has the same urine stain, or I could sit here and discuss, but I'd rather not. All the different things that we are exposed to that you don't just see on a regular basis. But at the end of the day, I think it made me successful. I've been very fortunate in able to lead teams, not only in the restaurant industry but as well as retail. My big thing is we work as a team. There is no I in team. As the old adage. I was never afraid to sweep and mop if I needed to. If I needed to get my hands dirty, regardless of what level I was in, whether it was entry level or a C-level executive, I was never afraid to give a hand, help. And I think that helped me along the way because even though I was in a different position because of a title, I was never afraid to get my hands dirty, and people appreciate that. People appreciate when the big boss helps, and it's not just standing there with their hands at their waist, going, "Hurry up, you need to finish." No, you get in there and help.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's one of the things that made me very successful in all the industries. Of the different jobs that I've had, and I've only had 6 now in my whole career, and that's including throwing the newspaper when I was 13 years old, and that was no fun. But anyway, that's another history. That's another issue for another day.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, but I do remember I initially walked in that building with you when you were trying to determine if you wanted to get into that the janitorial business. I still recall that to this day. But there, I mean, it's Rodolfo's just, he is very, very thorough on his questions, and he would ask certain questions on how that day-to-day operations look like and how would it fit his life, his quality of life. So that piece of it. And then the other thing I like to unpack and it is talked about, and you probably validate this, Rodolfo, is that in the janitorial world, there is a direct hire side, but there is also the subcontracting side of things. And coming from the world that we worked in, we worked direct hire, and we jumped into the subcontracting world. It was a pleasant surprise. Let's put it that way. It's a little different. You had to address things a little differently, and it the subcontractors, independent contractors, Rodolfo, I totally believe that you're on the same page as I am, that we see them as partners in crime.
Yeah, yeah,
So
you're right. Yeah, and yes, and you're right. In labor partners, that's the reason that I always thought them as an extension of the company that I worked for.
yes,
And so I try to put everything into perspective of it's about us. What are we going to do? And at the end of the day, they would be the ones that would have to discipline their employees. But it was always about, it was nothing, it was never a personal attack. It was just dealing with the facts. Is this clean or not? Is
correct.
this, is this, what the standard is? I know what the standard is. Does this meet standard? If the answer is yes, we move forward. If the answer is no, what are we going to do to get it fixed? Right. And so I think the big thing, especially in the sub world, right, that the partnership is the key, right? Because if the labor partner truly believes that you are uh, looking out for them, they will bend over backwards for you. I mean, they will stay there an extra 3 hours if they have to make sure that we, the team, don't get it into trouble. Make sure that
Absolutely.
everything's taken care of. And so it's all about that partnership, right? And there's times, that you have to have that heart to heart conversation. If they're not meeting the standard, in some cases, you have to make a decision that's best for the company as well as for the customer. Because at the end of the day, it's about the customer. If the customer's not happy, the customer can replace you as well as the sub. So you want to make sure that the customer is king. Customers has to be happy.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
Sure.
All right. Well, good deal. I'll jump on to the next question I have for you. And you kind of brought this up. The janitorial work is often behind the scenes, but it's critical to any business operations.
For
Um,
sure.
can you tell us about a moment when you realized just how impactful your role is?
Wow. There's so many. And the reason I say there's so many because in the roles that I've held, right, you're dealing with, for example, property managers, right? They're responsible for the whole building. Then you have individual tenants, right? And the individual tenants have an office manager, and then inside the individual tenant, you have 20 employees, right? And when they realize who you are, they all want to give you, not a piece of their mind, but they want to give you their opinion about some things. And so, the big thing was deliver on what you promise. If you say that you're going to do something and it's going to be taken care of, that it is taken care of. And whatever time frame that you promise, or that you promised that it was going to be taken care of. If for whatever reason it wasn't taken care of, I always made sure I was proactive and reached out to the customer and say, hey, so let me give you an update, right? I always say, let me give you an update of the, and this is what we tried. In some cases, I would take pictures and say, this is what it looks like. I want to wait until tomorrow. I'll be here at 9 o'clock in the morning. Let's look at it together and let's see what it looks like, especially when it comes to like carpet stains or any stains on certain stones. Because for a lot of people that probably don't know that, right? you have these people that walk through the lobby and their coffee is dripping and they don't realize it. And depending on the kind of stone that it is, some stones are more porous than others. Well, if it's more porous, then that means it penetrates all the way through. It doesn't have a sealer on top. If it has a sealer on top, you can just mop it and it's clean.
Correct.
Well, when it's more porous, it penetrates the stone, and then you really have to do some homework, because it takes a little bit of work sometimes to remove this, said stains or whatever. And a lot of people don't understand that, or they don't know. And so the second part to me was always had to educate them, explain to them, and explain it to where they can understand it. And so
Right.
you can't be too technical, because if you are too technical, they're looking at you, going, but what does that have to do with it? I just want the stain gone.
Yeah,
Right.
that's probably why it's a bad image. It's a bad image
Yeah.
to the building. You got to get
It
this
is.
fixed.
Yeah, yes. And so, so that was the big key, delivering on whatever promises that you made. Follow up, being proactive is always, leads you to be very, very successful. In other words, don't wait for them to come to you with a problem. Analyze. One of the things that I feel that I've always done a very good job of is I always analyze. I always think differently than most people when I'm presented with a situation. I analyze it. I always look at it differently. Um, and I always try to look at it from both sides of the spectrum, and try to find a solution, not necessarily a quick solution, because it's not always about finding a quick solution. It's always about finding the right solution. And sometimes you may have to try 2 or 3 different things to get to the result that you want. And so I think in my career, overanalyzing has really helped me to be successful, because it helped me to avoid pitfalls. I think sometimes people want to get the answer really, really quick, and then a pitfall occurs, and then they're going, "Oh my God, why didn't I think of that?" Excuse
Yeah.
me.
And I mean that again, a lot to unpack there, but to the audience, if you got to rewind and listen to exactly what he said, there were so many key points of taking care of your customers there that he unpacked. So, and just the proactive consistency, and in our business, we're always having to think outside the box. There's
Mm-hmm.
where we think it's the right answer, sometimes we got to step out of that box and find a solution for that. So that's
Yeah.
great. That is great.
Yeah. Yeah, and the
So
last thing I wanted to add to that, Danny, was especially in the janitorial industry, there's so many resources. I can't count the number of times we have some vendors, that are experts in floor work, experts in carpet, and so you develop relationships with them, right? Because they're able to help you analyze things. You could get a book and you could read it, yes, but they know so much about the product that they really, really teach you the do's and don'ts of dealing with different types of stones, different floors, different carpets, whatever.
yeah, and man, Rodolfo, you just gave me an idea. We may reach out to our little buddy on the floor work part of
Yeah,
it and bring
yeah,
him on, because he was very instrumental in my development when I first came in, and I'm sure yourself,
yes,
kind of getting us up to par and understanding that piece, and along with some additional training and certification from IICRC to lead certification AP, that I think he would be a good candidate to jump in on a call too. So
sure.
that that's a very valid point, and it's not just one vendor. There's there's a couple that we've been working with a long time. It's been very supportive and helpful to
Oh yeah,
our development. And then one, getting us out of sticky situations when we run into them. So,
yeah, for sure, for sure.
yeah. So, in the industry, it's evolved significantly over the years, especially recent global events. What are some of the biggest challenges you've seen, and how have you adapted to them shifts?
Well, the biggest the biggest global shift that we all encountered was, of course, COVID. And when COVID struck, especially on in the beginning, we had no earthly idea what COVID was, and we listened to the CDC. CDC didn't know what COVID was. They would come out with a mandate, and then 14 days later they would change it. It was. I mean, so you really had to learn on the fly. You really had to be very, very flexible. Um, that was the big change that came with COVID. Everybody wearing gloves, everybody wearing masks. And if you think about it, that should have been the standard all along. And
Correct.
I believe it was the standard, but it really wasn't an enforced standard. And so really, COVID to me, it opened my eyes. I think it opened everybody's eyes to the opportunities to uh, uh, do a better job cleaning, be more consistent, be more thorough. Um, and so that was really, really good. The findings, the learnings, even to this day, we're still dealing with COVID issues.
Yes.
Not compared to 2022, but yeah, it's still out there.
It's an
And
afterthought, right?
yeah, it's an afterthought. We're not as scared of it as we were, used to. I remember when we first found out, the CDC, well, that they thought that COVID could live on a surface for like 3 days. And you're going, oh my God, so, think about it. You go in and you disinfect the surface, right? And the person comes in the very next morning and they have COVID and they sneeze over that surface. Well, it's no longer disinfected,
Right.
right?
It,
Because if it was really living, yeah, if it was really living for 48 to 72 hours, I mean, you actually, I mean, and because we didn't know what we didn't know, right, until we learned. And so we were doing a lot of learning. I can recall um, being in meetings, I mean, all day meetings, I mean, just learning about COVID and everything else that was there, all the different chemicals, right, um, that, we thought would help. So it was a big learning. I think it was. I think in the end, it was for the better. For the betterment of making sure that the offices are clean better, more thorough, and that's never a bad thing.
no, it's not. It's always, yeah, unfortunate situation that all that pandemic came down and the effects that it had on families and out
Hmm.
there, um,
Sure.
which our blessings go out to all. But yes, sometimes you got to reiterate and follow back to the basics of the cleaning and disinfecting and doing the right things there and doing it the right way. So
Sure. Yes. And
yeah,
following the procedures to the T, right?
yes,
No shortcuts. No shortcuts.
let it dwell. Let it
Yeah.
dwell.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How many times did we hear that? Right. You didn't let it dwell long enough, so that means it didn't fully disinfect the surface as what the as it recommends. And so,
Right.
But yeah, so we learned, right? We learned. We had no choice, right,
Yeah.
for the betterment. Because to your point, there was a lot of unfortunate things that happened due to COVID. People lost family members, people lost friends. Um, so it was a very impactful um, pandemic
Yeah.
that hit the world.
Yeah.
Not just the janitorial industry, but the world. So
Absolutely. Well, we'll transition out of that one because
yeah,
that was
that's a big one.
we're ready to. I think everybody's ready to move from the COVID era. Um, what is the most common misconception people have about janitorial industry, and how do you work to change that perception?
The biggest misconception, hmm, I think, a lot of times you hear, oh, anybody can do it, anybody
Yes.
can clean, and yes, anybody can do it, but do they want to do it,
Yes.
right? The one thing about the janitorial industry, it's not the highest paying job in the world.
Correct.
But yeah, you're dealing with waste, you're dealing with restrooms, you're dealing with all bodily fluids and stuff like that. And so you have to be very, very thorough. You have to be very, very knowledgeable, because the way you clean a sink just from day usage versus when somebody throws up in there, or if somebody cuts themselves and has blood everywhere. That's just three examples that we deal with sometimes day in, day out, right? And
Yeah.
and although you think, oh, they should all, most people think, no, you just clean them the same way. You use Clorox. Well, no, you don't use Clorox. You may use Clorox at home, but no, you don't do that. And so you have to know the procedures, right? And the key is everybody has to know the procedures, meaning from the entry level cleaners to the supervisors, to the executives, to everybody. They have to know um, what is the cleaning process and why is it that we do it,
Yes.
right? Because
That's
if you don't
huge.
clean if you don't clean blood properly, it stays there. I don't know about you. I don't want to be touching somebody else's blood, but that's just me.
No, no. Me too. Me too. Do not want to touch that at all.
Yeah. So
Um,
so I think that's the big thing. Like I said, people think, yeah, it's simple. You just, sweep mop, take out the trash. Um, that's just four things of probably 1,000 things that have to be done. Sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes on a weekly basis, sometimes on a monthly basis. And there's a reason that the cleaning industry came up with those standards. Why you do things daily, why you do things weekly, why you do things monthly, why you do things quarterly. There's a method to the madness, and so you have to understand the whys. And that's what we do. Spend a lot of time with our labor partners, making sure that all of the team members understand the whys behind why we do things. Because I'm a firm believer that if you explain to the cleaners why, they want to do the job correctly. They don't want to take shortcuts, but you got to
yeah, you
explain
get
the why.
you get more buy-in from their
Yeah,
perspective. Yeah, they
for
want to do
sure,
it the right way.
for sure.
Um, so yeah, no, that's excellent points there. Excellent points. Um, as a operational executive, you're
Hmm.
responsible for running just ensuring everything runs smoothly.
Hmm.
Um, what's one strategy or tool you swear by that's helped you streamline operations at your particular position?
A tool. Hmm. That is a good question, Danny.
And
Um,
or a strategy. And they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, they do. I think, and I've been in operations all of my life, with, like I said, whether it was restaurant or retail or even in the janitorial, I've always been in operations. Um, the big key to me has always been, uh, not only understanding the process, but also listening to the team, right? The people that are, uh, that are, at the entry level where they are actually cleaning everything, they have a lot of insight.
They do.
Um, and they have brought up a couple of stuff that I never thought about, right? It made me say, yeah, we have to discuss this because we haven't thought about it. Um, there's, I don't have any specific tool. I'm really big on following up, on writing things down, when I'm speaking with somebody and we discuss a plan. Always the first thing I always ask them, okay, so when can we get this accomplished, right? And it's easy to say, hey, I need to get this done today. And sometimes I have to do that, right? Depending on if a customer says, hey, I want this taken care of today. I mean, if the customer says they want it done today, all hands on deck, you got to get it done.
Yeah. Sense of
Um,
urgency.
but
Yeah.
sense of urgency, yeah. And so, but I feel like I've always done a very good job of following up, sure nothing falls through the cracks. I try to be fair with my expectations. Um, make sure I understand their concerns. Make sure they understand my concern. Make sure that I'm very clear and concise on what I want and why I want it done. And that's been in all the industries, right? I can recall in the retail industry that you and I are very familiar with, right? When people go check out, right? The big thing was the upsell, all the candies and everything else, and you never think about it, right? But the Twix candies have to be based in the same way. You go into a store and the candy just got thrown in there, looks like this shovel. And then you go to a store that, I mean, it's like picture perfect. And then you look at the numbers, the results for both stores. Well, guess what? The store that has all the candy lined up, pretty and everything, their up sales is 200% better than the one that just throws it in there because it's appeal, right? It's appealing to the customer, right? And so if you don't explain that, again, explain the why, right? And take the store manager or the people of the store that's struggling in their upsells to a store that's doing exceptionally well, have them see and ask them, what do you see compared to your store? And it just blows their mind when you do that, because they're just going, wow, man, right? But it's a learning. Everything's about learning to me.
Absolutely. I mean, you kind of touch on a little bit of it. Active listening is key in pretty much any position, but especially for executive in the business.
Yes.
Yeah, because
you have so many different. Yeah, you have so many different departments, right? They have different needs, right? Because you have sales, accounting, operations. I mean, there's a lot of logistics involved there, and each one of them has different needs, right? And so you have to be able to put yourself in their shoes and what it is that they're dealing with, whatever it is that they're struggling with, and what can you do to help them? Because when you help them, then they help you.
Right.
You can't expect them to help you if you don't help them. So that's
number
one.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. Help me, help you.
Yes.
Yeah, and so active listening, follow up, urgency. Them are some key things that we talk about on a regular basis, right? And
yeah. Well, not only do we talk about it, Danny, but we also demonstrate it.
Absolutely.
Because one thing is you can talk about it, but if you demonstrate it, I learned early on in my career, that demonstrating was much more impactful than talking about it, because they
100%.
saw.
Yes. You got to practice what you preach, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
All right. Transitioning over. Um, let's see. Leaderships in hands of industry like ours can be unique. How do you keep your team motivated and ensure high standards are maintained across the board?
One of the things that I think, and it's probably in any industry, because I know I was very successful both in the restaurant as well as the retail, is, the way you keep motivating people to me is by treating them like human beings. What does that mean? Right? I mean, at the end of the day, we are all human beings. We all have families. Is getting to know them away from the day to day of work. Their kids, right? You listen to them. So again, back to active listening, right? When you talk to them, they talk about, oh, so it's my son's birthday, and then you talk to them about it afterward. Hey, how was the birthday? How's Johnny? Or an accomplishment, right? Hey, my son made the varsity football team. Oh, that's awesome, right? And then on the following Monday, talk to them. Hey, how was the game? But it's those little things that we don't do enough of.
Yes.
That personalizes the humanistic side of the business, because I mean, let's be honest. Every day is not a bed of roses when you get up and go to work, right? Because things happen. But it's those little things of listening to your people, showing that you care, right? I'm a firm believer of celebrating people's birthdays, work anniversaries. It's an appreciation. You don't have to, spend $1,000 or anything like that. I mean, shoot, sometimes a $25 gift card, or even go and buy a little cake. I mean, it's just like I mean, it just humanizes you. It shows that you appreciate, right? Because you could tell somebody, hey, I really appreciate you, but when you do those little things, write a little thank you card for their extra effort that they did without you even asking them, right? Without you even, they took the initiative. Just you can say thank you, you can shake their hand, and that's impactful. But if you write a little card with a thank you, telling them how much you appreciate what they did, I mean, it's like you're a god to them. Not in the, but I'm just saying they just have so much respect for you, and then they will bend over backwards for you.
Oh yeah. It's that trust factor. Yeah.
It is.
They tend to, trust you answering the call when you need to.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
no, great stuff. That is great stuff.
Yep.
So jumping into our next question.
Oh dear.
I like this one.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Can you give me a example, or I guess a request from a client? What was the most unusual request that you got from a client?
Unusual.
Yes, unusual or different than what we deal with every day.
Well, so there's one that I can think of. So I had a customer reached out to me when I had multiple accounts that said that, hey, they're not cleaning the sink properly. And the reason I know that is because I know that the hand bottle dispenser is 3¼ inches from the faucet. And when she told me that, I'm going, how do you know it's 3¼ inches? And so I thought, okay, so obviously got with the team and shared the communication, make sure you pick up the bottle and clean it. So I go the next day and, said, hey, customer, following up, because I got with the team and I know it got clean because I got pictures. In this case, I was actually there because I was following up on a couple other things. So I know they picked up the bottle and they cleaned it. She went in there with me. She said they cleaned it, but they didn't put it back where they're supposed to. And I said, okay, so show me, so that way I can show them, so I can teach them, right? So that way when you come in the morning, it's going to be there. And so she showed it to me, and she said, it has to be right here. And it's a stainless steel sink. There's nothing. There's not a mark. There's nothing there that would show if the hand soap bottle was in the wrong, was in the wrong spot. And so I thought, man, how do you tell the cleaner? Well, she knows you cleaned it, but you're not putting it in the right spot now. So I got a marker and I put a red dot in the back of where the hand soap, where she said it had to be. I put a very little small dot, and I said, this corner has to, as long as this corner's touching here, you're gold. After that, we never had a problem from her. They still cleaned it, but they just made sure. And I checked with her multiple times. She said, oh, no, yeah, they're putting it exactly where it's supposed to be.
How far did that carry that trust and relationship with that individual?
Oh, well, after that, I mean, it was like, whatever I said was gold.
Yes.
Right. It's interesting because I had another customer that was this, kept saying that, hey, they're not putting the trash cans under my desk where it belongs. And, I said, oh, so when I went to go see him, I said, so where does it belong? And he said, it belongs on the left side of my desk. I said, okay, right there where you have it. And he goes, yeah. I said, okay. So I took a picture, showed it to the guys. The next day, get an email, showed up to work. Trash can was not put in the right spot. Okay. Show me. So when I got there, he showed me. So I showed up that night. Trash goes in the same spot. I got a piece of Scotch tape. I put it against the desk, and I colored it on the bottom. I said the back of the trash can has to hit right here. After that,
no problems.
No problems.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get some of the craziest requests. The reason we say it's crazy because it's not normal, normal things. But those are two examples of, I mean, when they would reach out to me, I'm speaking very calm. But when they were communicating to me how upset they were, yeah, I mean, you would have thought the sky was falling. Hand soap bottle, it's got to be 3¼ inches. And I don't know if she got measuring tape. I never asked her because I don't think that would have made a difference to, her answer. But sometimes, you're forced to think, you're going, okay, how do, because, you have to communicate with the team because the team is not there. Right. So you have to be able to paint a picture they can understand so they can do the job properly.
And I mean, and then it's so funny that you brought that up. You just remind me of a story on a high-end client of ours that million square foot. The team did a great job maintaining the facility because there was high expectations there. But to your story there, the particular owners and investors of this company required their drink holders and their mats to be measured with a ruler by the ½ inch apart, and it needed to go around that big round executive table, and it was a big deal. to the investors and owners there that they had to have it just exactly like that. Well, I personally had to do a training with the whole cleaning team. This is how you do it, you know. And if there's any adjustments with the team, please make sure they are being trained exactly like this. And but the big win of that, they continue to expand our portfolio just because we're really focused on them little details
Mm-hmm.
and providing that to them. That's how you create that trust and expand your business. Going that extra step, just satisfied and meet their expectations and exceeding our expectations. So
It's funny because I know which particular building you're talking about.
yes, yes, yeah. So yeah, no, that was certainly that was maybe 2 or 3 years in, maybe 2 years in to the janitorial world, and I noticed that was you just got to go that extra mile to
Yeah.
keep them happy. So
Yeah, and you bring up. Let me add something to the comment that you
yes,
made, Danny. Uh,
yes,
th- those little things, right? So from our perspective, they're little. Um, and request the windfall from taking care of those little requests. Oh my goodness, right? You mentioned about the portfolio. That means they gave you more business. Sometimes it can be more additional buildings. Sometimes is extra services at their location, which is
absolutely,
extra money for your company, extra money for yourself. Because of why? Because of trust.
yes. And on top of that, it's for the company, yourself, and our partners. Um,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah. That's why I said the windfall is huge.
yes, that's huge. That is huge. Man, that's good conversation. Okay. Um, all right. Looking ahead with the trends and the innovations, um, do you see shaping anything new that's going to be shaping the future of the janitorial industry?
Well, the very first thing that comes to mind, obviously, is robotics. Right? Robotics it's going to have a major impact in all industries. I mean, we're seeing, I think it's a form of robotics, right? The self checkouts at the
Yes.
grocery stores.
Yes.
I was at a location that I hadn't been to, a pharmacy, earlier today, and they had self checkouts, and I hadn't seen that before in a pharmacy. You see it in the typical uh, big box retailers. But I had not seen it in a pharmacy,
Right.
and
Right.
so that kind of caught me off guard. Right. We went to the ISSA show a couple of years ago, and they were talking about robotics within 5 to 7 years. I mean, we have robotic vacuums in our homes, right? The little vacuums that vacuum the floors for you. So, yeah, robotics is going to have a major impact in the cleaning industry. Right now, you have buffers that are self-propelled, self-running, where you don't need a human, right? I mean, it chooses coordinates to determine the area that needs to be cleaned. With GPS, it doesn't run into anything, and it cleans everything up. And you still have to have one individual to oversee it, right? But if you were to use an auto scrubber, you might have 2 or 3 individuals with the manual auto scrubber. Whereas with this automatic one, you just need one person there to reset it or empty the water or do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
So robotics is going to change everything. Not only commercial, I would imagine, then residential, down the road.
Yeah. So when you're talking about robotics, are you kind of tying in AI to that piece?
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yes.
AI has already put a major impact in everything of life, right? I mean, um, you know this very well, but there's a app or an an AI app that can create a song for you. There's a AI, you ask it a question and tell it to give you a reply for questions being asked, or hey, give me this information, and the AI will give you the information much quicker than a computer will or Google in some cases. It
Correct.
can help you. It can help you write speeches. I mean, professional written speeches that normally you would have to pay an arm and a leg. So, AI and robotics is impacting our world on a daily basis.
And if don't get behind the curve on that, because it's not slowing down. It's just going to keep on going. And
Oh yeah,
um, I'm a big yes, a human individuals need to be involved.
sure.
However, AI will certainly be a great tool for us in the future with that human element. There's
No,
got to be a good mixture. Yeah.
no doubt, no doubt.
And then one thing that I just recently saw, there is some special glasses where it will pinpoint areas of the room that are dirty or disinfectant. It'll be in red, where the rest of the room that's clean, it'll be in green. So it's
Yep,
kind of more of a productive approach to the cleaner there to go straight to that, make sure it's disinfected, clean it, and move on. So there are
yep.
so many different components. Now, have I tested that out? No, but I'm interested in you know where it could take us in the future. So yeah,
No
it's
doubt,
great.
no doubt. Yeah, no, AI, robotics. Well, robotics is the future, the very near future. AI is here.
Yes,
It's
yes,
already here.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. So for those aspiring to enter into the janitorial field and grow within it, what advice would you give them to succeed?
well, first you have to decide which side of the janitorial world you want to get in. What do I mean by that? Do you want to be a labor partner? Do you want to own your own business? On the flip side of that, do you want to start your janitorial company? Right? If you want to start your own janitorial company, I would highly recommend that you find who are the big janitorial companies wherever you live, and kind of get some information, some pointers from them. That's one good thing that I've noticed in the janitorial world. Uh, People that have their janitorial companies or even labor partners, they welcome new people into the industry,
Oh yeah,
because at the end of the day, buildings have to be clean, parking lots have to be power washed, trash cans have to be emptied. I mean, it has to be done. And
that's a
so,
huge
yeah,
community. Yeah.
huge community, and they welcome you with open arms. They don't share all their secrets, but they give you pointers on what to look for, what to expect. Um, I've been on the working for janitorial companies, never worked for a sub or done cleaning, but even in the roles that you and I have been in, I mean, we kind of have been cleaning, because we go in there, we sweep and mop, and we do what needs to be done. So, it's
Right.
just determining what it is, which route you want to go. What is it that you want to do? The opportunities are endless. The opportunities are there. And so it's just a matter of which direction you want to go. There's podcasts, just like the podcast you're having, different contractors put out with regards to janitorial. They'll give you pointers how to start your businesses. So there's so much information. All the information that you need is out there. It's a matter of spending some time, investing some time on getting to know all the facts. and then make the decision that's best for you, because not everybody's going to decide to go the same route, obviously. And the cool thing about it is there's not just one way to get in there.
Oh, you're 100% correct. There's several ways you can get in there, and
Oh
there's
yeah.
different aspects and niches that you can get into, from commercial
Yep.
to residential to power washing, glass cleaning. I mean, there are just numerous. You just pick your poison, and you can, if you're passionate for that particular, I'd say power washing, you can go straight into it and grow your own business. And we've seen that happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and be
Yeah.
successful at
Yeah, we've seen coworkers that have done that.
it.
They've up their own business. They found that's what the desire that they had. Start their own power washing company, striping, and they're doing exceptionally well.
Yes. Yeah. Good deal. Hey, that's great insight. I'm going to you just coming to a conclusion or closing here. If you could describe your work and your team in one word, what would it be and why?
If I could describe
Your
my,
work. And I would just say your work, and we can leave out your team in one word. What would it be and why?
that is a good one. My work. I don't know about one word, but I would think that I would describe it as delivering exceptional customer service. All the different industries that I've been in, it's all been about delivering customer service, and taking customer service to the next level,
Yes.
right? If you find the keys to delivering customer service to the next level, you will be successful, whether you're in the restaurant industry, whether you're in retail, or whether you're in janitorial.
That's very, very on spot description of it. Absolutely. Well, I do want to add to that piece there. So if the audience don't know this, me and Rodolfo worked at Blockbuster Video, and I was in that industry for close to almost 20 years, as Rodolfo was there as well. And we got several other individuals that we still, I guess, communicate, talk to. If anyone ever wanted us to group the team together and talk about the backstories of Blockbuster, which I've heard several folks come and approach me about wanting to do that, feel free to leave comments there below. And I hope and I wish that Rodolfo will join me in future um, interviews, I guess you would say interviews or discussion points about janitorial, because we do have a community of operational managers that is either we have worked with, been colleagues with, or developed into that position of executives that we'd love to have them on. And, as an audience, if you took this, topics of conversations that I had with Rodolfo today, and you want to hear more, and you want to hear more from others, feel free to leave comments below, and we'll make that happen. So, but I do want to conclude this by saying thank you so much, Rodolfo, taking your time out and jumping on with your expertise and insightful feedback in regards to the years and the decades that you've been in the business. You bring a lot to the table there, and I really appreciate you, and I value you as a friend and in individual I've worked with, a coworker in many different industries. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for today.
No, it's been my pleasure. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, getting together and talk about the blockbuster days, that would be hilarious because we have so many friends that are still old coworkers that are still close friends of ours, and we could probably do hours of discussions of
Oh,
Friday nights and everything else that a lot of people it would blow their mind probably. All the behind the scenes, literally, of day-to-day world.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, Rodolfo, again, thank you so much. And I hope to get you on another one
Yep,
as I, make my rounds with other colleagues that we work with and see if I can get them jump on. And if anyone else in the industry would love to jump on Dan, the Cleaning Man channel, and, talk janitorial, feel free to leave that in your comments there. So, um, all right. Well, good deal. Well, thank you again, Rodolfo, and we will catch y'all later on. Thank you.
my pleasure.